Welcome back to another episode of Jimmy Repeat, the podcast. Today we have on Kyle Farnsworth. He's a retired Major League Baseball player. He was a pitcher. He's pitched in over 893 games. He played for 21 years. He has a fastball like none other, up to 101 miles an hour. He was only 4 miles an hour shy of the record at the time. He's also played semi-pro football for the Orlando Panthers for 4 or 5 years. He's won 2 national titles, been selected to 2 All-Star games. He led his team in sacks and tackles in 2015, then turned bodybuilder in 2022 and competed in Classic Physique in the Shuru Classic. And he took first place in Novice, first place in Open, first place in Masters. We have this all-around genetic anomaly who's capable of whatever he sets his mind to at this point. I don't know if there's anything that could stop him. So I don't know if this was a gift that he was born with or something that he's worked towards. So we're going to find out today how he just keeps excelling at everything that he does. Welcome to the show, Kyle. How you doing?
Doing well. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, this is great to have you. You know, I was looking through your bio and I'm like, I'm so impressed by everything you've accomplished that I'm like, I don't know where to start. So I took pages and pages of notes and, you know, I came up with things that I definitely want to know. I came up with some things that I think others want to know, especially in the bodybuilding world. You know, bodybuilders are often looked at as, you know, like a big Mama Luke, like, you know, and as a baseball player, you don't want to be that, right? Because you're not gonna perform as you should. So let's go back. So pre-1995, before you get drafted, you were a high school standout.
I got cut my junior year in high school from the baseball team. So, you know, I was always very athletic. You know, I played baseball, basketball, and football. And, you know, I was a tall, lanky kid. You know, I was probably 6'4", 175, 180 pounds soaking wet. So, you know, I had ability and, you know, very athletic, like I said, but very, very thin and slender. So, you know, definitely had the ability, and I think I topped out at 90 in high school. So that was definitely, you know, had what scouts were looking for. Was just very fortunate that, you know, the Cubs saw that potential in me and drafted me, you know, in the 47th round, just gave me an opportunity.
Wow, that's great. So I know, you know, there were some guys I played ball with growing up. Matter of fact, they got drafted to Chicago, and one of the guys was a first baseman. And he was tall, he was lanky, but he could hit like no other. He was fast, he was agile, he had everything that you'd want. And after his stint there, he came back. He looked like a monster. You know, he put so much into his training to really add that size that is even needed in baseball. What was your training like going from you know, high school to the major leagues to try to add some size?
In high school, I never really lifted. You know, back then, it was kind of frowned upon just for the reason of just getting, you know, the old saying, "Oh, baseball players are going to get too tight and
right.
be flexible." You know, and I took martial arts as well as a kid, so I was very flexible as well, which I believe helped me a whole lot in my career and staying healthy and being able to, you know, throw the ball as hard as I could and stuff like that. So. I probably really didn't get into lifting until my freshman year at junior college at Abraham Baldwin Agriculture Colleges, where, you know, because there we had mandatory lifts, so we had to lift every day.
Right.
And, you know, it was still kind of new to me, but, you know, I enjoyed it. And I saw myself getting stronger. I saw my velocity increase in miles per hour as well. And to me, I enjoyed it. I started seeing muscles that a little skinny kid never had to. So
right.
that was cool. And, you know, I just fell in love with it, and just, you know, that's basically where it started there, and just, you know, progressed throughout the minor leagues. And I think, you know, then when I got to the minor league ball, I was there by myself. I was a real quiet, shy kid. I didn't hang around. I didn't really drink. And so I was like always in the gym lifting. So that's where I just spent most of my time.
And did that carry over into the major leagues? Where did you keep up with a rigorous training schedule, or, you know, once you hit the majors, I mean, there's so much travel involved, and you're working out in hotel gyms.
So that's kind of where, you know. So I have a funny story. So in 1995 was my first pro ball, which was rookie development league, where they get all the new draft kids, and they get a lot of kids from, Dominican Republic and stuff like that. And
Right.
so we were down in Fort Myers with the Cubs while they're redoing their facility out in Arizona. So, we did our normal workout in the morning at the field. We worked out through, and we got back to the hotel probably around 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. And I had nothing else to do. And I go down to the hotel gym, and I'm in there riding the bike. And our pitching coach, Oscar Acosta, rest his soul, I loved him to death. I mean, he was in the military. He was very hard nosed. He didn't hold anything back. I mean, he would tell you. I could tell some stories about this guy. He was ruthless. So the next day, we have a meeting, and he goes off on me because I'm in the gym working out. Oh, so I see I'm not working you guys hard enough. There was a player in the hotel gym working out. So we start running. I'm like, mother a fucker. But, but that was just me. I was just always wanting to try to get myself better, do something more. Because at that level, it's easy to just do the basic stuff when everybody's looking. It's the stuff that makes you better
Is
when
behind
no
the
one else,
scenes.
exactly, doing extra, doing that little bit more that people don't see.
Right.
But to him, it's just the way we was. I mean, that's just the way he kind of weeded out for like the weak links also, and people who can handle that kind of, there's no way they could get away with it now, the way he was saying stuff. But
Oh my God, everybody go home crying now, right?
Exactly. So I just took it like, okay, I get it, but it's not going to stop me from trying to help myself get better.
Now, did you see? So I mean, you played for 20 or 21 years. Did you see a shift in the methodologies from when you first started to when you left? In regards to training, how people were training and working out off of the field.
Definitely. I think probably it kind of shifted because my first year, minor leagues was 95. Then when I got to the big leagues in 99. So probably from not until I'm around 2005-ish maybe, when guys really started working out more and more and more, and including pitchers.
Right.
A lot of times, even the position players, they really didn't get in the gym that much and lift the way they probably do now these days. I mean, there was just so much benefit that I saw for myself, like I said, just staying healthy throughout my whole career. I don't think I had really any injuries, and I contribute that to being in the weight room, especially for my arm.
Right. Right.
My elbow, I think I tore a flexor tendon when I was, 36 years old. That was really the only arm injury that I ever had when I played baseball. So
that's after a lot of pitches.
Correct. So
over a lot of years.
So
were you always a pitcher, Kyle, or did you ever play other positions, coming up as a kid or anything?
As a kid, I played all over the place: shortstop, outfield, catcher. I just wasn't that great of a hitter.
Right. So pitching it was.
But pitching, yes, was real good. I mean, I had a cannon for an arm in the outfield. But yeah, I mean, they just saw me more as a pitcher, so it worked for me.
Went with it.
Yep.
When do you think you noticed, or when did people start noticing in you, like, hey, Kyle, like, you really have what it takes. Like, let's really pursue this.
Obviously my dad saw something in me, because when I got, like I said, go back to when I got cut my junior year in high school, he went out and found a personal trainer, baseball guy, instructor, Don Valentine, rest his soul as well. He was a military vet also. So, my dad is as well. So he found out, he knew a lot of connections, and he knew his stuff in baseball. And, if they didn't believe in me, I probably definitely wouldn't be where I was, throughout my career, or had the career I have. So
did you believe in yourself as you were being pushed and coached? Did you think like this is something I could really do?
I knew I was good, but as far as the extent and how far I could go, I had no idea. I just know I love playing. I could pitch well, and to me, I was like, all right, it's either this, work on the family's farm up in Missouri, be a farmer, or go to the military.
Is that how you ended up in agricultural school? Because of farming, or
in a way, but they were also really the only college that was after me. I think Georgia Tech was looking at me, but my grades weren't that good.
Right.
So, and since I got drafted out of high school by the Cubs, I didn't think I wanted to go to a 4-year school, just because I was like, all right, let me go to a JUCO first. see how it is, and then still be eligible to go into the Cubs system after, because we did a draft and follow back then where the team could draft you,
Right.
have your rights for a year, and then either sign you or put you back in the draft for the next draft. So that's what I did. And the Cubs signed me. I guess I did decent in college and went from there.
Good, good. So you've played all these years in baseball. We're gonna jump around a little bit here because now after baseball, now you're playing semi-pro football.
Yes.
You know, and you think as a pitcher, well, shit, maybe you'd be a good quarterback, but it turns out that you led the league, you're the league in tackles and in sacks your first year on the field. Like, how did this happen? Like, what made you decide, like, you know what, I'm gonna go from the mound to the gridiron? Like,
I've always loved football. I mean, I think that was my sport, especially as a kid growing up. You know, I was really good at it. I loved it. I played all over the place. I played defensive end as well, tight end. So, I mean, I think the last time I played or like any kind of organized football was probably 1992. I think that was my freshman year in high school.
right,
So, and then to backtrack a little bit, so while I was in the major leagues, I think it was around 2002-ish, I had a crazy idea in my mind. I was like, all right, during off season, I want to try to train and maybe try to be like a Deion Sanders or Bo Jackson, kind of play football and baseball.
right.
But, you know, it never panned out. You know, I just did a little bit of training here and there. So after I got released from Houston in 2014, I was like, you know what? I don't want to look back on my life and go, oh, I wish I would have done this, wish I would have done that. So I came back here to Orlando, Florida, my home, and looked up semi-pro football teams, and I found the Orlando Phantoms. I was like, all right, oh, cool. They got a tryout coming up in, I think it was like September or something.
Uh-huh.
I was like, all right, what's the easiest position to learn since I've been playing so long? I was like, all right, defensive end, your basic goal is just contain and kill the quarterback. I was like, all right. No, I did that in high school, then I did it to Paul Wilson in a game. So for the tackle in baseball. So, so yeah, so I just figured out that was going to be the easiest position for me to learn and just to try to, you know, because I was still pretty quick and long, lean, and stuff like that. I just knew I had to put on more size because I was
Right.
going against, you know, bigger guys as well. But you know, it was a lot of fun, and I just enjoyed it. Made the team. I was nervous because I didn't know what to expect. I was some old guy out there. These young kids at 19 to 25-year-old, and I'm some
Right.
old guy. So it was a lot of fun.
Do you looking back, I mean, even though that wasn't even that long ago, do you wish you played more football coming up, or do you have any regrets for, you know, leaning more towards
Probably
baseball?
Probably not. My dad had good advice back in high school. He said baseball is less injuries and guaranteed money. So stay away from football for now, and then go for baseball. And you know, baseball, I played for 20 some odd years, barely had any injuries. 5 years playing semi-pro football, I blew out my right shoulder and my left knee in
Oh,
5
Jesus.
years. So
Was that at the same time? Did something happen, or were they two separate instances?
two separate incidents. I blew my shoulder out. The quarterback cut back on me. I stuck my arm out, tripped him up, and he ripped my arm back. And then tore it that way. And then I blew my knee out in practice at non-contact, had a knee dislocation, hyperextension.
I think I saw a picture of that on your Instagram,
God.
actually.
It was disgusting.
It looked pretty gnarly.
That was painful.
You finish out your football career.
Yeah.
2 injuries, and then you decide, well, now what? Were you looking for another avenue of you know, physical activity, or was it a bucket list or another goal of yours to get on stage as a bodybuilder?
No, I've always watched, you know, coming up in the minor leagues and stuff like that. I think that was the era when, you know, got Ronnie Coleman, Flex Wheeler, Paul Dillett, Dorian Yates, Cormier, all those guys. Kevin
Everyone says
Legroni.
that's the greatest era
Oh, my
ever
goodness.
of bodybuilding.
Oh, I believe so. Just how aesthetically pleasing and just proportionate they were. And just so I was, you know, I followed, especially Ronnie, just a monster he was. And then that's when I started doing like workouts like them in the minor leagues. And I would talk to my strength and coach, and they were awesome about trying to incorporate certain workouts and stuff. But,
Uh-huh.
you know, so that's kind of where I got the idea or just the enjoyment of, it also started a little bit earlier, but as far as working out, about how you can just see your body change and how you can design it in almost your own personal way. And it was just pretty cool just to be able to see like the Greek statues, how they just chiseled bodies and stuff like
Right.
that. So it all just kind of started from there and just progressed along. And then when I'm, done with everything, I was like, I'm in the gym all the time. I've always wanted to try to compete just to see what would happen.
Uh-huh.
I was, 46 at that time last year. So I was like, you know what, why not? What's the point of going to the gym? And for me, I needed a purpose.
Right.
I'm not just to go to the gym just to lift weights for what? Just cause? No, I wanted to have a purpose, have a goal. It's like, let me see how far I can do this, how
Uh-huh.
push my body, and just to compete against, just another thing to accomplish. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I really like what you said, how, noticing how your body changes and how you could really carve out the look that you're looking for.
Yeah.
In bodybuilding, I think you have two different schools of thought. You have the people that are like, oh, well, this person is genetically gifted and that's why they have these great lines and great insertions and everything is so proportionate. And then you have the school of thought, which I lean towards, which also sounds like you lean towards, is I believe we can go in the gym and we can create our own masterpiece, right? And design and build our body to look a specific way. Bodybuilding is really an art form as much as it is, a competition or a sport. It is an art form, right? So if you get on stage and you're lacking a body part, how do you change it? You don't just suck it up and be like, oh, well, this is all God gave me, so fuck it, this is it. No, you go back to the gym and you work on that to bring up that body part. So I really like that. So did you have, being a pitcher, you're conditioned differently than a bodybuilder. So was it tough for you to bring up some parts? Did you have a struggle there? Or
I think the hardest part was, my legs have always been there. I've always killed my legs. They've always been a strong part of mine. And my upper body, I lifted heavy and stuff like that and hard. But again, it goes back to I couldn't get too big, or I wouldn't be able to stay flexible and long and loose and be able to be free for pitching wise. So my upper body was always lagging, obviously. But I has always worked hard at it and just tried to bring it up as much as I can. My triceps, my chest have always seem like a weak point. They just don't want to grow.
right.
I mean, my calves look at weight and they just grow. So it's like it's like people want calves and they can't get them. And then I don't do nothing and I have them. I'm just lucky like that. But then, like I said, my chest and triceps, they're a pain in the butt. But that's what it's it's awesome about it. You can go in there, you can see that, see what's lagging. And like, okay, judge will tell you, okay, this is what you need to do to get better, to add proportion, add size, so your body's more symmetrical. So that's again, that's what's awesome about bodybuilding, is that you can be able to do those kind of changes and still be successful. Like in pitching, if I had a great fastball, I could destroy people with it. Then
and a slider, I believe.
Yes, it worked pretty good too.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah. So you weren't just a one-tool pitcher there. I said it before. It is almost like you hit like the genetic lottery. Being as talented as you are and succeeding in multiple sports. And having a multidisciplinary athlete doing so well. Like some guys could do well at one thing and they're just okay at others, right? You're really hitting the mark in all of the things that you're doing. What is it that you're doing different or different, I guess? Like what is it that you do that allows you to be at the top of your game through multiple sports?
I think it's just it's a mental aspect and thought process, because I've seen there were guys that's baseball wise who were more talented and had more ability than I did, but you could see that they didn't put 100% into their craft. For me, yes, I had ability very genetically. I do. I always have been very lean. That's weird because my brothers are both kind of a little fluffier. So I don't know how I got, the more leaner side, but that part of it, but still you can still have all those tools. You can still be genetic freak. You can still have a cannon for an arm, run like the wind. But if you don't put 100% effort into your training, into your nutrition, into taking care of your body in baseball, taking notes, watching video, doing all these things like in bodybuilding, nutrition, rest, all this stuff, you're not going to be able to reach your potential, whether you're a genetic freak or not. It's just almost impossible. If you put 75% in, you're going to get 75% no matter what.
Right.
So
you get out what you put into it, right?
Exactly. So, but if you get those freaky athletes, they put 100% into it, then you see how ridiculous the human body can do, what it can do and become when freaks like that actually put 100% into everything.
Yeah. So, you're a little bit older than most of the guys that you're competing with on stage. So do you prioritize recovery more now at your age, or do you just say, fuck it, I'm 100% all in all the time?
Recovery, and I think my conditioning probably is something else I really need to pay attention to as well, just as far as, just trying to, I do stay lean, but I was at content, everybody at that age is going to have a little bit more around their waist as well. So conditioning wise, was a little bit harder for me to do the cardio and stuff like that,
right.
but
it gets a little monotonous, right?
Yes, very much so. So, but as far as the intensity of my workouts are always pretty intense. There's rarely any time I go in there and just try to or go through the motions, because you're just wasting your time.
Right.
It's because everything has to be. You have to focus on the squeeze, the contraction, the extension, get the full range of motion, doing all this every single rep. It's the little things, just like in baseball. It's the little things that matter. Which I'm starting to find out bodybuilding too. It's making sure you eat every 2 to 3 hours, making sure you put the right things in your body this time and this time and this time. Like in baseball, it's like, oh, I got to get extension. I got to finish out front with my fingers. It's those little things that make that huge difference, as opposed to just halving it, that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So your off-season training in baseball or football or bodybuilding always differs than what you're doing in season. Are you seeing any correlation or similarities between what you do in your off-season now versus what you did playing baseball or football?
With baseball in the off-season, I lifted pretty heavy, even upper body when I could. I threw all the time, which helped me stay loose and flexible. So then when the season came along, I would tone it down just a little bit for upper body, but I would still stay pretty solid with my lower half, just because for some reason I could get away with that. I don't know why. But I would break it up, kind of like, because I worked out with a bodybuilder, I think back in the 2000s, and kind of got like a little program. I'd break it up in body parts as well. Like chest, legs, arms, back. And I kind of stuck with that throughout the baseball career as well. And I think that helped too. And I would stay lighter, but in the off season for baseball, I definitely changed it and turned up the intensity a lot. And then same thing with football. When I went into the football aspect of it, I knew I had to get bigger and stronger up top. Like I said, my lower half was good, but I had to get stronger. So that's when I started, bar benching more, because baseball, I did a lot more dumbbells or machines just to protect my shoulders.
Safety aspects of it, right?
Correct. Yeah. And then, so with football, I started just doing more overhead presses, some clean and jerks, just more power, explosive movements and stuff like that.
More of a football geared type of training regimen. Right.
Yeah.
So, this year in your off season, you competed last year, you qualified for nationals, obviously. Is that something you're going to try to pursue? Are you going to get back on stage?
Yeah. So just got dealing with a terrible shoulder injury.
Right. You just came off of surgery,
yes.
Right?
Yeah. So I blew my shoulder.
Was that your throwing arm, by the way?
No, I blew that one out 5 years ago. So
okay.
Now I did my left one.
What happened? What happened? How'd you hurt it?
Oh goodness. This is, don't laugh. So about 3 years ago, we're at the lake and we put this tarp on the dock for a slip and slide.
This is where it all starts to go wrong.
And right at the end of the dock, they had a little 2x4, so it was like a little lip.
Right.
And so I went head first as soon as I landed, my palm hit that lip and it jammed and ripped my arm backwards. As soon as it happened, I fell in the water. I was like, that's not good.
Is there a video of this? Can we get video of this?
Actually, I think there is. If I can find it, I will send it.
Yes, definitely send it to the producer. We need to add that in. That's amazing.
So yeah, that was about 3 years ago. It killed. So it was just, and it got better. I did my rehab stuff that I knew what to do.
Uh-huh.
It felt good, and then I went and did a Yankees fantasy camp in January.
Yeah,
and it was aching, and we're facing the campers, and the guy throws me a pitch, and we're hitting. So I swing. I'm like, I'm going to hit this one as far as I can. I missed it. Got extension with the bat, and I just felt my shoulders go.
oh.
And I was like, oh no. So it was down in Tampa, and I finished at bat, got a line drive, base hit. I was like, I'm not coming out of the game. So I got a base hit, came off the field, and thank goodness my ortho doctor, he was actually with the Rays, Dr. Coco Eaton, who did my other shoulder and my knee.
Okay.
Their office is like 30 minutes from Tampa. So I call him up and I was like, hey, doc, can you see me real quick? I think I just blew my shoulder out. He's like, if you can get here about 30 minutes, I'll see you. I'm like, all right. I get there. He checks it out. But yeah,
and then after you had that fantasy camp, you had another one you went to, though, correct?
Well, I did the Braves one first, and then
the Braves
Yankees
was first.
one.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I had surgery on the January 25th, and this week I started. I tore my bicep tendon in half, slap tear my labrum, and tore my rotator. And this week I just started my normal workout routine, but as a lighter weight.
Right.
10 weeks after surgery, I don't know how that happened, recovering that fast. I mean, I'm still blown away by it. And, I did awesome rehab. The place here in town, Home and Rehab, they helped me out as well. So, but I think this is still staying with, while I had my surgery, I was still at the gym, still doing my other training, still doing my rehab. So the other thing I was really doing to focus on is my nutrition, staying on top of that. And I really think all that helped for how quickly my shoulder recovered.
Well, it's funny, if you take like a non-athlete with that same injury, they're out for 3, 4, 5 months, right? They're walking around in a sling. They can't do anything. They're afraid to do anything. You look at an athlete, like you guys just come right back, right? There's really no downtime. Stitches are out. I'm good to go.
Yeah.
And I a lot of that has to do with, you're so active regularly. So you're in a good place when you get cut open.
Yeah.
So I do think you heal a lot quicker, and paying attention to your nutrition is definitely key, right? Getting all the right nutrients in there. How is your nutrition regularly? Aside from bodybuilding, even during baseball and football, did you always kind of keep a clean diet, or?
I thought I did until I actually got
into bodybuilding.
With
right.
My nutritionist and trainer. His name's Cash Guidry, and for the show, so before I got with him, I thought I was taking enough, I was getting enough protein, but I was forgetting about the carbs and the fats. And and then I'd also eat ice cream every night. I'd eat chicken wings and the stuff like that.
Right.
Well, then I was like, I'm good. This is the way it's supposed to be. Ronnie Coleman, he ate chicken fingers with barbecue sauce and French fries. So if he can do it, I can do it too. But that's when when I got with Cash, then he sent me, the plan and everything. I was like, oh my gosh, I got to do asparagus, green beans,
all the stuff you weren't eating.
Yeah, and when I started doing that, it is like, wow, I have a whole found new respect, of bodybuilders and the fitness industry. They got men and women who do this on a constant basis.
Right.
People think, oh, they're just so big old meatheads and this and that. Oh, they do steroids. No, it's the nutrition. You have to eat 6-7 times a day. You got to be on it every day, all day, 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. It's mentally draining.
It's a lot.
Yeah, people don't realize how hard. Actually, the workouts are easy compared to the eating. That's
right.
What I was like, wow, this is
that's a full-time job, right? So if you eat 6 times a day, right, That's 42 meals per week that you need to be 100% with,
Yep.
right? Where your workouts, you're only working out 5 days a week or six times a week, right? So 6 times into 42 times, yeah, you have to pay attention to that nutrition, right? Because it's every couple hours, you're just over and over and over again. You have to be spot on.
Yep. And then especially with my age, like I said, I was competing against younger kids, or I'm not going to say kids, younger, competitors.
Right.
In my first show, granted it was novice and open and masters were 2 different categories as well. So, I had to, it's like, all right, yes, I'm lean, but I'm also a beginner. I can't eat these Oreos anymore right now, or the chicken wings and stuff like that. And my body's older, so I can't burn it off as quick. So it's going to sit, so I can't afford to do it. And so, yeah, that's when I just realized, like, this is tough. This is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. But, that's what I wanted. I wanted a challenge. I wanted to see how far I can push myself and to be able to just to do it.
Yeah.
Just because I've always, I remember in school, like in the science class, you get the pictures of the skeletal system, then you get to pictures of the nervous system. And then the one that triggered me most was the muscles.
Right.
You get to see, like you're saying, all the little striations, the insertions, and all that kind of, for some reason, that's always as cool to me. And just to be able to see those on your body and start coming out when you start dieting down, you're like, wow, this is pretty freaking cool how you can just morph your body into that almost same kind of thing.
Right. So many people, they get into bodybuilding, and all the competitors that I'm around and that I coach, nobody really talks about this. So I'm going to ask you, keep in mind, nobody knows that I was going to ask this. So you changed your diet, right, to be more geared towards bodybuilding, right? So you're eating, you're eating much cleaner, you're eating more regular. Did you see a difference in anything else in life when you did that? So did you have more energy? Did your libido change? Did your rest habits change? Like, what other positive effects did you notice from eating that well?
Now that you I think my rest definitely got better. My energy got better because you're eating cleaner and better foods, as opposed to what I thought. I was eating burgers. I'd eat a pizza every now and then. I'd still eat my eggs, eat chicken, eat steak, but it wasn't clean, as opposed to now I'm eating brown rice, 93.7 ground beef, egg whites, fish, asparagus, green beans, which is a lot cleaner, so you feel healthier.
Right.
And I think, I think now that you say that, like I said, I definitely sleep a lot better. I have more energy. It feels like everything just feels just clean, and you just feel better about yourself.
So now I want to go backwards a little bit, because I do find this part of bodybuilding to be the most important, and people don't talk about it, right? Like, you never even thought about it until right now. So now, if you kept this same type of nutrition style, let's call it, when you were playing baseball, do you think you could have excelled even further because you were getting the proper nutrients all the time? You think that would have changed anything?
Maybe a little bit. I think if I would have paid attention maybe earlier on in my career to more like video and scouting, that would have helped as well. But definitely nutrition, just for because a lot of the things that people don't understand for these athletes, especially for baseball, just because we play 162 games in like 180 days. We say we travel, we're playing on the West Coast. We have to go back home to the East Coast. Great, you lose 4 hours.
Right.
Guys then we have a game the next night. So we get in at 4 o'clock in the morning. We got a 7 o'clock game. So there's rest that you're not good rest. A lot of guys don't eat well. So there's 2 main keys right there for body performance.
Yeah.
Rest and nutrition. And if you don't do those, and doing that 6 months out of a year, that kind of travel, it wears on you. So I mean, that went to a question you were asking about lifting wise. when did I see a shift in the change? Kind of around the same time is when a lot more the nutritionists started coming into clubhouses and started changing diets for teams just for that reason, for better performance, because that's when they started figuring it out. And I still remember to this day, my son still remembers this. I think I was with Kansas City during spring training. A nutritionist comes in, guys are drinking sodas like they're nothing and Coke. So I think there's one can of Coke the guy puts out on the table. He puts, I think, like a big old glass. And I think it was, I forget how many, he just like, all right, so this Coke right here, and everybody's drinking. He goes, starts getting tablespoons of sugar and just dumps them into a glass just to show you how much sugar you're drinking every time you drink a Coke. I think it was something crazy like 10 to 15 tablespoons of sugar.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, I was like,
and guys are pounding them multiple times a day.
Yep. And my son, I think he was like 8 at the time. He still remembers that. And he doesn't drink soda, probably because of that reason. She's like, oh my gosh, that's terrible. And, but again, the guys, the players didn't have that. A lot of them don't have that knowledge.
No.
And then when they see it, they're like, oh, geez, okay.
I think, having the nutritionist in the clubhouse, pushing, more of like performance nutrition, I think could really change the game. I think it could change the longevity of a lot of players.
Definitely.
Right. And I mean, you're a testament to that, you were training and you played 20 years and then 4 or 5 years of football. Like, that's unheard of, right? You get guys, they're in the major leagues, 5, 10 years, and then they disappear and you see them selling, Cadillacs somewhere out in Las Vegas. You're like, you kept going 25 years, right? Yeah. They sell Cadillacs in Vegas, do ED commercials, and hey, here's my life. But you're an athlete and you're still going. Do you plan on slowing down?
I don't think so. I don't know. I don't know that word. I don't think. I've just always been go, go, go. I mean, yes, I'm retired, somewhat retired or whatever, but yeah,
Are you though?
But yeah, I just don't think I could sit still. I don't know if it's because I've been active for so long and I've always, okay, today I wake up like in baseball. Okay, today I got to go to field and go pitch. Today I got to go do this. And so doing that for so long, having to do something every day. Yeah. I don't think I could just sit back, relax, and just go through the TV and watch news.
Do you fish?
No, I do more hunting than fishing.
Okay.
So that's another hobby. Or
So you're in Florida, right?
Yep.
Do you take part in like the python hunt out in the Everglades?
I've always thought about doing that. I think that would be a lot of fun.
If you're gonna do it, I'm coming down. I'm gonna do it with you.
They pay for that.
Between the pythons and I guess the wild boar down there, it's just
that's got to
be a good time. That's got to be a good time. I'm all about that. Kyle, you've been an athlete for numerous decades now. And oftentimes people, it might be a short stint. Whether it's as an amateur or a professional. Sometimes it's just a shorter stint. Being involved in a particular sport. People lose interest in it. What has motivated you to keep going for, I don't know, 3 decades, maybe longer? And, was something motivating you standing on the pitcher's mound in front of, 40,000 people and saying to yourself, one day I'm going to stand in a posing suit
in my underwear
on stage? Like, so what's motivating you to keep you going at this level?
Oh goodness. So yeah, that's a great question. I think for me, I think a lot of competitors can probably say the same thing, but as far as, trying to push, like I think I've said it before, just seeing how far the human body can go, how far you can push it, what you can deal with. As far as, pitching wise, I was still learning my last year of pitching just as much as I was my first year.
Right.
I was learning something every year. That's the only way that you're able to for one, stay around as long as I did, is be able to learn how to adapt, change, and almost reinvent yourself, because it's easy. I'm not going to say it's easy to get there. It's easy to get to the league. It's very hard to stay, let alone, I don't like talking about myself, but I stayed for 16 fucking years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's very tough.
Yeah,
893 games, 29th all time in MLB. I'll toot my own horn. I deserve it.
you do deserve
So,
it. You do
so I,
deserve it. You have to be that guy, talking, as these guys get drafted, and telling them like, hey, this is what it takes. This
yeah,
is what you can do, but you have to be a student
this is
of the game. You have
exactly.
to keep learning. So,
And so,
okay,
yeah,
I,
so
I, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was just thinking
no, you're
about
good.
that.
But yeah, so that's what every year, because the other teams, they have scouting reports on you. They're going to adjust on you. If they see you tipping a pitch, they're going to know that. I'm not going to know that. It's my job to figure that out. So yeah, so it's a constant battle every year. Let alone you got guys who are younger that want your job. So you got guys who want what you're doing. So you got to worry. You have that in the back of your mind too. And you have to, then there's just so much going on. But yeah, it's the little things to be able to, all right, nope, you're not going to get my job. I'm going to keep on getting better. You got to
Right.
come get me. I've been on that high horse and I've been knocked off on it. I've learned definitely more getting knocked off, because that's when you learn the most. Anybody can be good when everything's going. It's when you don't have your best stuff, especially as a pitcher. You never had 100%.
No.
You never did. And then it's about learning how to be successful when you don't. And so to be able to push myself and to just be able to do that day in and day out for as long as I did, I just think it was just the mentality of never giving up and just having that fire. And I still have it. I still would play if someone would take me. But it's just the business. It's just I'm old and probably don't throw as hard anymore. And the business part of the game is awful now these days.
Yeah.
But I still love the game. That's why I give back to the kids. I do these charity things and go to little leagues and help them out and try to teach these young kids. They may not know this at that young of an age, but just to be able to spread that kind of knowledge so that they don't run into those kind of roadblocks, to help them along the way. And then as far as the bodybuilding thing, the last sets and stuff like that, I think people may think it sounds kind of crazy, but those last few sets, in my opinion, when you're really pushing through, that's when you really get that growth. You get that, you get those little cuts that show up eventually. Anybody can do 10 easy sets. Okay, cool, that's good. Well, that you're just warming up. Your muscles aren't getting taxed. They're not getting torn apart really.
Right.
Until you start tearing those fibers, that's when they get that growth. They start growing, start getting bigger, better, more defined, and stuff like that. And like I said, I'm all new at the bodybuilding thing and stuff like that. I got a lot to learn. It's been a lot of fun. And that's, one thing was kind of nerve-wracking being up on stage in my underwear. Not
Wait, did you have a lot of friends and family come watch this?
my son, they showed up late. They said they didn't want to have secondhand embarrassment for me. But
All right, that's all right, I guess.
And the other, and the other thing too, I didn't realize how hard posing was.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I did that kicked my ass. And that, like you were saying, with physiques, you can have the most pleasing, aesthetic looking body, but if you don't know how to present it,
You have to not present it.
exactly, a guy who was less proportionate something can end up beating you just because you don't know how to present your body. So
Right.
that's what getting to the bodybuilding side, people bash and make fun of bodybuilders because they're just this and that.
Yeah, they don't realize what goes on, to actually get to
Yes.
that point.
Exactly, just to be able to, like I said, the diet, the training, the posing. Yeah, some people might think it's goofy and stuff, but that's what it's about. It's
Right. You think it's harder getting ready for a bodybuilding competition than it is getting ready for opening day?
Heck yeah. Oh yes.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. I've done it. Like I said, I'm very fortunate. I've done it all, and bodybuilding is definitely probably the hardest thing I've done.
Wow. You mentioned something about, like when you're deep into your workout and, when those muscle fibers are really breaking down and really being taxed and you push through, that's what separates winners from losers, is being able to push through that. And I think bodybuilding does, translate over to, I'm going to say, real life. If you're able to get through those hard sets and if you're able to get those meals in when you don't want to and, get up and do the cardio and, at the butt crack of dawn because that's the only time you have to do it, I think it really creates great discipline for life.
Definitely.
If you get through the hard things in the gym, it'll help get you through the hard things in life. And if you've gotten through hard things in life, you could definitely get through the hard things in the gym.
Most definitely. That's how you learn. I mean, you can't give up. I mean, they just say just because some things get a little bit tough and taxing, okay, I'm going to quit. Why? Because you're uncomfortable. That's
where growth happens.
Exactly. You have to get out of your comfort zone to grow, or you're just going to be stuck in this little bubble, which a lot of people are. And I've never really seen anybody happy who's stuck in a little bubble.
No, they're just comfortable. Just nope,
Yep.
I'm good here. I don't want to get out of the right lane and try anything different. You know,
Yep.
I'm not going to take a different way to work. I'm not going to, put my shoes on differently or wipe my ass differently. Like everything I do is just going to remain the same, so I don't have to experience any discomfort.
Yep.
You're also a sponsored athlete with Rule 1 Proteins.
Yes.
How does their product, how are they helping you, achieve all this? How long have you been with them?
I just got with them after when I won my competition. So I've been with them for probably 6 months now.
Okay.
I've tried everything from the old nasty Metrics back in the day, from that to Myoplex to,
Myoplex that mixed very, very well.
Yes.
I love it. It was just like the consistency of an actual shake.
Yep. And guys would make fun of me in the minor leagues because I'd buy the box of Myoplex and I'd actually travel with my own blender, and I'd be guys would make fun of me. I was like, I don't care. This is what I do.
Right.
But like I said, I've tried so many products under the sun. I'm very fortunate they reached out to me and wanted to sponsor me and help me out. So I mean, their products are awesome. They mix well. I mean, they have everything from women's multivitamins, men's multivitamins, the collagen I use. I think definitely helped my shoulder to help rebuild as well. I mean, they got everything, and they're out of Chicago, so I think they're kind of like Cubs fans as well. So it's pretty
that
cool.
Helps.
Yeah,
that helps.
But
if you're out there listening, definitely check out Rule 1 Proteins. I'm a big proponent of support those who support you. So they're out here and they're supporting athletes. Let's give them a shot and see if everybody likes it.
Yeah, they're awesome.
I think that'd be great.
Appreciate it,
Kyle. So baseball, it was funny because right before we got on, I was watching the news. I'm a news junkie, and they were talking about how baseball is America's pastime, right? And they just have recently changed some rules to try to make the game a little bit better and make it flow better. Listen, I don't know. Listen, I want to get up there. I want to pitch. I want to hit. I want to catch the ball. I want to field the ball. I want to score some runs. Like, I don't know if anything really needed to be changed, but baseball's been around for ever, 120 years.
A long time.
The Mr. America's been around for 84 years now. And there's a couple of things that they have in common. They both represent like Americana, right? And what our country, is founded on and built on. And we see that through, multiple generations. If it wasn't for, the Mr. America, we wouldn't have all these other things, right? The Mr. America kind of started all of that. And sitting here talking with you, you represent that. You represent that in multiple ways that I don't even want to get into right now, but you were, avid baseball player, bodybuilder, football, like you scream all American man, right? And
thank you.
the Mr. America, was originally put in place as an alternative to the Miss America, right? We wanted to try to get that Americana ideal man, right? For kids to look up to and other adults to even look at and say, I aspire to be that man. So obviously, women are involved now and everything like that. But part of being a Mr. America is we want that. We want real role models. And you fit that bill. So with that being said, I'd really like to invite you up to be a guest at the Mr. America this year. I want you to talk to the athletes and the fans because you are a great symbol of what our country has to offer, right? You have the strength, you have the longevity, you have that all-American type of persona around you. And what you've done, you've gone to show that hard work and persistency leads to good things. It is that American dream type story. I don't know if you've ever looked at it like that or have ever realized it like that, but you really are living that dream for so many. So I think it would be good if you came out and met some people.
I'd love to. I appreciate the invite, and we're more than happy to do that. It's not, you say that, it's kind of, I have had people, some of my followers reach out to me and say, I inspire them. But like you were saying, I don't do that for that recognition. I'm just me being me. So if I'm able to inspire someone to keep on working hard, keep on grinding, realize that everybody goes through ups, downs, hardships, and stuff like that. And I've had 3 major surgeries, and I haven't sat back and, oh, poor me, I have this blown out knee, blown out shoulder. Oh, I got cut from my junior year high school baseball. I'm just going to give up. Oh, poor me, someone help me. No, you got to get up off your fucking ass, pardon my French, and you have to go after your dreams, your goals. You have to set them to where they're almost unattainable, or they're not. Anybody can. Oh, I'm going to take 5 steps. Well, if you don't walk, yes, that's where you start. Little steps. Little steps lead to bigger steps to climb those mountains to get on top. And if I'm able to inspire that one person to take that one little step, that's awesome.
Yeah, and being an athlete, you don't realize how many people you inspire, because it's not often that somebody comes up to you and says, "Hey, I saw you 10 years ago or 15 years ago, and I'm doing this because of what I've seen in you." And I know you were helping out at a local little league with teaching the kids some warm ups and how to some pitching mechanics. Those little kids, like, you went there, you had a good time, they learned something, you walk away feeling good. But you'll never have any idea on the mark that you left on those kids until, 40 years from now or 50 years from now, when you run into one of them and say, "Hey, Mr. Farnsworth, you probably don't remember me, but when I was 7 years old, you taught me how to pitch." Yeah. And, now here I am. So I really like that. I want more people out there, inspiring the younger generation, especially with young children, teaching them the proper ways to do things and make these games more enjoyable. And pushing that active lifestyle on them.
Yeah, especially now these days, I believe, just, electronics and all that. No, they're great, but I think they're keeping, kids in their home too much. They're occupying their time on social media, this and that, as opposed to, when we were outside 24/7, basically. All the time. We didn't come home until what did our parents say? Come home when the lights come on.
When the street light comes on, you better be home.
Exactly. Just be outside and go play. And
that was a very hard thing to do. So I didn't know what time the streetlights came on. I had nothing to check it against other than I'm playing. I noticed the streetlight and I said, "Oh shit, I'm in trouble. I'm not home yet." So I don't know. That was a hard bar to reach.
But yeah, I think that's that, and also not babying your kids all the time when they fail. You have to let them fail. Right. Let them know that feeling of failure in order to take that step to succeed. Because if you're a parent and your kid fails, you're like, okay, it's a no. You're like, yeah. Well, what do you think happened? This and that. Okay, now let's work on it. Right. I think that as well. I mean, I think there's a lot of too much pampering and trying to or everybody's too worried about hurting someone else's feelings as opposed to.
It's a societal thing too.
Yeah.
You got to watch what you say. You might get canceled. You have to watch what you do and where you go and who you associate with. Like, it's absolutely insane. But I think we are raising a society that is doesn't have the testicular fortitude as it once did.
Correct.
And you don't learn unless you fail, right? So I'm all for positive reinforcement and encouragement and say, "Hey, you suck today and you got last place, but here's a trophy." I don't like that. Nope. I'd rather say, no, you don't get anything because you suck, right? You have to come back and work harder. That's what it's all about is putting the work in. You have to work harder to be better. If you want to be the best at your craft, whatever that is, even if it is playing video games, you have to put the time in and work hard at it. Yesterday, I'm outside and I'm cleaning out my Jeep. And I guess it's spring break for the schools around here. And there's not a lot of kids in my neighborhood, so it really caught my eye. There was 3 little girls playing across the street on scooters. and they were yelling and screaming and running around. I've been living in my house for 3 years. I think this is the second time I've seen them. And
Okay.
I came inside and I told my girlfriend, like, you got to come see this. This is crazy. Like,
There's kids.
yeah, they're just kids out there. They're playing. They're on scooters. They're moving. And, listening to their, you can hear their conversations, right, about what they're trying to do. And I guess, they're, role playing or fantasizing. They're like, hey, let's go around the corner. Like, it was a big deal for them to go around the corner on their scooters. And they must be, I don't know, 7, 8 years old. I remember at like 7, 8 years old, like, I was doing some crazy shit.
Yes,
I definitely was far enough away from my house that I couldn't see my house.
right.
Yes. But these little girls, it was a big deal for them to take their scooter. Mind you, it's a corner house around the corner. But I was really happy to see that. So hopefully, I don't know, maybe that's something to come. Maybe more people are going to push their kids outside and get kids more active again. I hope.
Yeah, just have to get that fear of, I think everybody just lives in fear these days.
Yeah,
as well.
I don't know what that's about. I remember growing up, like, I'd go to the baseball field on my bike, and I'd have my glove over my bat, riding my bicycle, and have a football stuffed in my shirt, because who knew what you were going to do that day, right? We're going to play baseball, we're going to play football. But you were, you had your bike, you could do whatever you wanted. So those always seem like, the good old days.
Yes.
And, for one point in my life, I thought it was maybe it's just the neighborhood. Maybe the kids, they're just not into sports around here, but no, it's everywhere across the country. You hear it more and more and more. This year we're actually planning on bringing in a teen division for bodybuilding and try to get teens more involved. And other organizations, they do have it. We haven't had it in a long time. And the Teenage Mr. America, that was a big deal. You won the Teenage Mr. America. So I want to put that out there, just even if one person shows up, just to try to inspire that next generation.
Yeah, just get them going.
Yeah. Well, Kyle, this has been great. I know that's what you're doing. You're inspiring the next generation for sure, whether you realize it or not. I'm letting you know you definitely are.
Well, thank you.
We'll talk offline and make arrangements to get you up here for the Mr. America, which will absolutely be great. Is there anything else you wanted to add and let people know about? How do we find you? How do people follow all of your greatness?
On Instagram, I am the Kyle Farnsworth. On Twitter, I am 24_7 Farnsworth. Those are my two main social medias.
Okay.
And, and with Roar One Proteins, you can use my code FARNS44 for a discount as well.
Awesome.
So they're awesome. And if anybody just never give up on yourself as well. Always set your goals. Go after them, do it day by day, write goals down, every day goals, weekly goals, monthly goals, because that's how you obtain these long goals is with short ones over a long period of time.
Right.
And, just believe in yourself and go out there, just have fun.
Shorter, more obtainable goals lead to those bigger goals.
Exactly.
Excellent. Great words of advice. Guys, be sure to follow Kyle on Instagram and Twitter. And feel free to reach out to him, talk to him about Rule 1 Proteins and everything they have to offer. Thank you again for tuning in to another episode of Jimmy Repeat. And we hope we see everybody October 6th through 8th in Atlantic City at this year's Mr. America.
One time, go get it, it's yours, let's shine, come on, yeah.